So hello guys, welcome again our new class of Zscaler. So let me wait for others to join, then I can start. So let me test whether my audio is audible to everyone or not. Give me 1 second please. I'm just almost live. Zscaler. So let me wait for others to join, then I can start. Okay, approximately I think I'm audible to everyone. Okay, I tested in my mobile. So guys, today topic we are going to start is the authentication part 2 in Zscaler. Okay, so whatever discussed till now, this is approx I think 5th class of Zscaler ZIA. Okay, so I will make it playlist for you so you can watch it the full playlist of the Zscaler. And so today we are going to discuss about the type of authentication which supported by Zscaler, and what is the popular method which used by companies, right? So let me discuss about those topics, right? And then end of that video I will tell you like how you can configure it on the, I will tell you the steps how you can configure the SML. SML is the popular one which companies are using. So let me deep dive about that, how many authentication type is supported by Zscaler. So let me share my screen and okay, so hope my screen is visual to everyone. Let me check it. Okay, that makes sense. I'm just verifying guys whether my screen is visual to everyone or not. I think it is visual, right? Okay, but half of the screen is cutting, so let me set this uh, it to screen. Okay, yes, now it's okay. Okay, so I was told you, right, I discussed last class about the authentication method. So there is a authentication method. Let me give you the list of authentication methods which supported by Zscaler, right? So the first one is the hosted DB. Hosted DB is, I can say, if you have a small organization, right, and even you are not using the Active Directory, you are not using the other any like Microsoft Intraday, Azure Active Directory, etc. So Zscaler giving the option, so you can use the hosted DB to implement the Zscaler. Not only that, because you are not using any authentication method, is it something like, if I'm not wrong, I'm saying that you can create a username and password manually on the Zscaler administrator portal. Like I will give you the example. Suppose everyone using the Jio or Airtel fiber router, right? So the username and password you creating, if you go to their administrator portal, like you are logging with their gateway 192.168.1.1, and you got a users list, right, where you can create a username password, right, and then you can use that for later. So is it like same for a small organization? Just like saying, if you're not using Active Directory, is it okay? I will give you the option, you can create a separate username and password manually and given to the user. But this is for a small organization, not a big organization, right? Also give you the second option called CSV. This color also saying, suppose you have a not only 10 maybe 20 users, so instead of manually creating username and password, what you need to do, you can create one Excel sheet into .csv format, put the username and password on that, and upload that sheet on me, so that I will create those username and password automatically, right? Because it take time, manually take time, right? But the problem with that is, suppose some user going maybe onboarded new user onboarded on the company, some user are lefting the company, leaving the company, right? In that case, it's a very difficult, right, to manage things, right? You cannot remember to manual remove the user, and if onboarded user you can manually add that. So if you have 5 or 10 users, it's okay, but suppose you have maybe 50 user is also more, right? You cannot someone hire only just do that tracking, right? How many users are left, how many users are onboarded, because you need to manually delete the account and create the account, right? So there is a second option called LDAP. LDAP means Zscaler actually use the, okay, let me discuss SML later, talk about LDAP. LDAP is the basically whoever the using Active Directory. LDAP is the protocol which make the directory of username and password, including all user detail, basically hold by this LDAP. So if I will tell you in easy language, LDAP is the part of Active Directory, right? So Active Directory not talking directly, instead of this LDAP protocol talking behalf of Active Directory to the other tool for authentication, authorization, right? So okay, so LDAP is the protocol which also supported by the Zscaler for authentication, user authentication, right? This is the lightweight directory access protocol. Zscaler service queries a directory server to verify the username and password used with the LDAP to sync only. Okay, so once you onboarded LDAP, this LDAP automatically sync all username and password. And so somebody, suppose user trying to log in from home, once they connected with the internet, the ZCC client connector asks them to redirect on the ZCC portal where they will put their username and password. Once they put their username and password, and once they authenticate, now that should be validated, and then Zscaler identify who you are, right? Because Zscaler already know about you from the LDAP server, right? I will tell you how many parameters share between this. Okay, so don't worry for now, just keep that LDAP is the Active Directory protocol which you can use as well. So let me tell you next called SML. SML is the security expression markup language. This is full form of SML. This is the most effective and secure provisioning method. And Zscaler recommended that, or even most of the organization using SML, because everyone using Microsoft Intra ID. So you have noticed that when you were trying to log in, it will redirect to the Microsoft authentication portal where you are putting username and password. Then it will ask you the OTP. Once you put the OTP in from Microsoft Authenticator, it will authenticate, right? So SML is the very popular, right? I will more focus on that. Okay, for interview perspective as well, somebody asked that question, right? How many type of authentication method available in Zscaler, right? Okay, so the last one is Carboros. This one is the standard industry standard security protocol that is widely used. There is some limitation of that protocol, so people are not using. Okay, but yeah, this actually not supported cookies such as Office 365, Windows, Metro application, or enable SSO, right? So because of that, because most of the people are using Office 365, right? So you're not dealing with that kind of thing where the authentication is breaking, right? Also, you got a password recovery method. You can, it's up to you whether you want user can recover the password or not. I'll leave it that part. Okay, let me discuss about the hosted DB, how you can provision that, right? I will discuss one by one. Hosted DB, then I will discuss about LDAP, then I will discuss about SML, right? And Carbos. So let me discuss about hosted DB. Suppose you are going with the hosted DB, basically you want to manually create a username and password, right? So how many parameters are there? You can see provisioning method, user added configure manually at the admin portal, right? you can configure manually. Second, you can add the CSV file which you created, right? So CSV file where you need to create manually. You create Excel sheet with the username and password, and that you can upload on the portal of Zscaler, right? Let me add with I will show you how you can create it. Okay. Then second, you decide you can go with the hosted DB, and with the hosted DB you have only option to create a manually. Now, what is second? Second, you can decide which authentication you will use. Cookies based with the redirect configure authentication interval. So what that mean is, suppose people are using like authenticate every week. The reason behind that is because suppose you left the office on Monday and Monday to Friday, and then again back if you are come back office on Monday, so you just should got a prompt for login, right? So this will decide every time user wants suppose login on laptop, they will ask the authentication, or it will automatically authenticate like your VPN, right? Global Protect, any connect, right? This is like same happen with Zscaler. So you can decide based on your company policy which method you want to use, right? Daily session, you can use the weekly, you can use the monthly, right? Benefit of simple deployment, because you manually create a username and password, but make sure that this is not for big organization, this is for a small organization who have a simple, simple number of count users. The useful for a small deployment, user can reset a password, right, by itself. Password expiry and complexity are supported, right? Password you can set, password should be expired in 90 days, you can set. And complexity as well, suppose you want to password should be minimum 14 digit including caps letter, small letter, special character, right? Everything is supported. Challenge manually creation the configuration account not scalable, right? The reason why, because you cannot hundred or thousand of user you are getting manually, it will take a more time, right? Much time. I think I can say it is even not possible you can hire 10 people just do the creating of account, right? So this is happen with the small organization, right? Now I'm talking about this one. I will tell you this flow for LDAP, SML and hosted DB. Okay, so SML is the one of the very popular one. So let me discuss about that. So you are here, right? You are the user. So you are the user. You suppose you connected your laptop with the internet. Okay, and what will be happen? It will ask you once you connected with the internet and try to open something. It will redirect to the authentication page. So this request is going to the Zscaler, and it will, once you got it there, you got an option like username and password, right? Once it asks you, give me 1 second guys, let me build that. Okay, so I will also log in on the portal. Same time, you can see you log in with the Zscaler. You got a login page, username and password, right? Once you get it that your laptop is sending request, put your username. Once you put your username, it will request you put the password. Once you put the password, that request will be sent to the Zscaler, and Zscaler validated, because username and password you created on the Zscaler itself. It's hosted DB. Hosted DB manages username and password every data on the Zscaler itself. So that's why it's validating here. And once validate that, whatever username and password you put it, which already available on the Zscaler cloud, once it validate, it will send you the auth cookies. Means you are valid user and send this auth cookies to you. So once you got that auth cookies, you automatically redirect to your portal. Suppose you are accessing facebook.com, that URL will be redirect directly on Facebook based on the policy which against your username, right? And again, this is the hosted DB. This everything is managed by Zscaler. You manually created the username and password, right? This is for a small organization you can use, right? So let me discuss about the LDAP. LDAP is an interesting one, right? So LDAP provisioning, you can create a username, password, group, everything on the LDAP that automatically sync on Zscaler. So you cannot create manually on the Zscaler. That happen on Active Directory. Active Directory automatically Zscaler fetch that data from Active Directory. Okay, Zscaler deactivate user that do not appear in LDAP. Suppose your user gone, suppose leave the company, and that automatically sync with the Zscaler and Zscaler remove that account, right? Synchronization happen daily, weekly, monthly, or on demand. You got an option like daily, monthly, weekly, on demand. So monthly means suppose 10 user join in this month and 10 user left the company for this month. So if you want every month that data should be synced with that, which is actually not recommended, right? You cannot active account which user left the company after 1 month, because once LDAP sync with Zscaler, Zscaler only understand that how many user are active, how many user are leave, right? So you should be sync on demand or maybe on daily basis, right? So this is also provide you redundancy. Suppose you have a two forest, means you have a two Active Directory and you can use for authentication. LDAP query directly go to the directory server. Zscaler send LDAP bind to the directory server to validate username and password. So when, okay, in that case what happened previously, Zscaler itself validated the username and password. In that case what happened, suppose user hitting google.com. So once user connected with the internet, what thing will be happen, it will redirect user on the authentication page where user put their username and password. Once user given username and password, that will be redirect to the Zscaler will be sent those details with the bind request to the LDAP and ask LDAP, could you verify that if user is active on LDAP, LDAP will confirm to the Zscaler, and once Zscaler got it that confirmation, Zscaler send the auth cookies to the user. Let me give you the flow, right? So firewall must configure allow communication from AD to Zscaler, right? In some cases what happen, you make sure that the port should be allow whatever the port using in LDAP from your Zscaler to the on premises your Active Directory, right? So I think port 3, what is that port, 389 or LDAP port? Let me see what is LDAP port. LDAP port. So it's using 389, yes. So port 389 using by LDAP. So which makes sure that allow between Zscaler to the firewall, right? So if you understand the flow, let me go back to the flow. Okay, you can see this is the flow. Where is the okay? So you know how you are here, right? You are the user. You just open the internet, connected your laptop with the internet, trying to access google.com. So what will be happen? Once you send that request, it will give you the pop-up of username. You can put your username. Then it will give you the password of pop-up of password. You can put your password. Once you put it the username and password, now Zscaler what it does, that Zscaler send that request to the AD Active Directory. So this is the LDAP server which hosted in your company network. Now what will be bind request over LDAPs. Okay, so this request will be basically your credential will be shared to the Zscaler data center to the LDAP to verify whether you are active user or not, right? So bind request over LDAPs, right? And once it validate, the response should be sent a bind response over LDAPs. So this response sent to the Zscaler, and once you are okay, you are correct user, Zscaler send you here, right? You are there. Zscaler send you the auth key. Once you got authentication key based on your username and policy, Zscaler send you on internet, which is directly Google. right? So this is how LDAP1 works. Okay, so people are asking, or even interviewer asking, the JAB. What is JAB? JAB, right? JAB actually part of LDAP. I will tell you how it used. Just simple difference between normal LDAP and JAB. JAB full form is the Zscaler Authentication Bridge. Okay, so what it's saying is, suppose you are not much confident on Zscaler, you don't want Zscaler data center directly talking to your LDAP. So Zscaler is saying, don't worry, I will not directly sync with your Active Directory or LDAP server. Instead of, what you need to do, I have one device name called as ZAP, Zscaler Authentication Bridge, which is the VM which you can install in your on-premises network, like app connector and branch connector ADC you are installing. In the same way, you can install this VM into your environment. So now what will be happen? This JAB sitting in your environment, and this will directly talk to your Active Directory. And when Zscaler data center talking to or verifying the username and password, it will directly talk to JAB, not directly talk to your Active Directory, because Active Directory is secure, right? Sensitive, so you cannot directly talk or allow Zscaler directly talking to your Active Directory, right? So no inbound connection from Zscaler to LDAP, right? Directly, no inbound firewall constraints, right? Solution JAB VM talk to LDAP locally, and JAB connection outbound to the Zscaler. Means JAB will become man in middle between Zscaler data center and LDAP server, right? So you can see this is the same, just the difference between this is everything is same. You can see Zscaler directly sync with the JAB, and JAB take data from the AD. Okay, so you can see you are secure, right? Now what will be happen? You once again in the same scenario, if you are accessing google.com, first you connected with the internet, what will be happen? You got a pop-up of login page. You can put your username, then you can put your password. Once you put your username and password, this Zscaler send your username and password with bind request over LDAP to the JAB. JAB will validate and send response to the Zscaler. Once your credential is validated, Zscaler send you the auth key. You can hold this auth key, and then you can talking to the destination based on the policy assigned to you. Okay, so it's easy, right? JAB basically, let me repeat what is JAB. Zscaler Authentication Bridge, which will become man in middle between Zscaler data center to the your Active Directory. So why it used? Basically, it will not allow Zscaler directly talking to your Active Directory because of security reason. So JAB will come in picture, right? Okay, so let me talking about the SML, very popular, guys. So this is the very popular one. Okay, I want everyone should understand this. So how SML provisioning happen. By the way, next class I will promise you, I will give you the step-by-step configuration from Active Directory and what you need to do from the Zscaler side. Okay, so how is provisioning happen? You will do flexible provisioning, manual. You also create a manual, because a provisioning method through SML you can use any one of method. You can use LDAP as well, or you can use the SML auto provisioning is fully supported. You can use the LDAP, you can use the manual as well. People are using intra-RD basically. So this is the cloud-based or on-premises both solution. SML security acceleration provides Zscaler by the user. So no major network engineering required, no inbound connection. Existing SML solution can be also used for Zscaler. Single sign-in on multiple services, right? So if you are using already Microsoft Office 365, or you are using the basically Microsoft based authentication, you can easily integrate Zscaler. No challenge, everything is smoothly. As I mentioned, right, every company are using SML because they directly call the authentication method through SML by the use of Microsoft, right? I will tell you what configuration you require on the Zscaler side. Okay, let me discuss, because this is the important. So let me pick some point. Preferred method of Zscaler. Okay, Zscaler SML or security acceleration markup language is the most effective and secure provisioning method. Support option and provides single sign-in for the user across multiple services, right? User group provisioning when using SML can be done using CSV or manually import the user into the Zscaler database via LDAP or via SML auto provisioning. Okay, this is supported manual as well as LDAP both. So user authentication via identity provider. Identity provider in that case, what is the IDP? IDP is the intra-ID, or you heard about Okta, right? Microsoft ADFS is part of the identity provider. Basically, when Zscaler asking the authentication, it will be use the single sign-in and redirect user to the Microsoft authentication page, right? Even your company also using that, right? So you can use through SML, right? So benefit of SML that the no consideration network changer requires as no port need to open for inbound connection from Zscaler to your Active Directory, because everything fetching directly from Azure Intra-ID, right? One of the challenge of SML can be used SML auto provisioning if the user or group member change in the directory server. Zscaler user data does not automatically sync with the IDP. As such, user login is still valid and user remaining logged in within their old privilege till re-authentication. This is the limitation, I can say. Okay, by the way, this is also Zscaler launched one of the solution for that. I will discuss that later. So what it's saying for challenge, and challenge is only with the SML auto provisioning. Auto provisioning means suppose user not automatically provision, you got a username, password, and user put it there all detail. Once user put it all detail, user automatically provision into a Zscaler. The problem with that is suppose you change something in the backend for that user. Suppose that user initially part of HR, now you move to IT. So whatever you changes in the backend, that will not reflected, right? Because of that, there is a limitation of that. So I will tell you what is the solution for that. Don't worry. Okay, so this is the important, guys. Interviewer asked this question, especially SML. SML is the popular one. As I mentioned that, right? Most of the companies are using that. So you can see SML is the security assertion markup language. This is full form of SML. Patriot identity standard for web authentication, right? So allow for single sign-in, SSO for user to service, right? It is provide the single sign-in, which is SSO, right? The three component involved on SML. First one is identity provider. Who's the identity provider? Like your Okta, like your Microsoft Entra-ID, like your Ping, right? Okay, guys, 1 second. Who is the service provider? Service provider is the also called as a replying party. Replying party means they are just like service provider, right? Your Zscaler may act as a service provider because Zscaler taking the service of that, right? Then I hope I'm audible to everyone. Okay, so security assertion, what is that? So also known as a token, right? Issues to user by IDP. So this IDP actually assign one token to the user, right? And presented to SP and RP. SP is the, what is SP? Service provider, right? Service provider also called a replying party, right? Relying party, sorry, my bad. To confirm the authentication, okay? So suppose this IDP give you the token, you can go and verify that token with your service provider, which is Zscaler. So assertion may contain authentication attribute or authorization of statement, right? So let me discuss about the flow, right, for SML. So as I mentioned that, right, you open the laptop, you're trying to access that one of the website, ZCC redirect you the login page where you can put your username, right? Basically not a username. Once you requested for that, it will redirect to the Zscaler service provider page. Service provider, like you will see sometime you will redirect to the Microsoft login page. You will see you can put your SML, basically SML to IDP, maybe you can redirect to the Google, Microsoft, Google, like that, right? You also get the login page of Microsoft. Here you can put your username and password. Once you put, now you once you put the username and password to log in through SML, this will give you the SML acceleration identity, which is token. Once you got the token, right now, previously this Zscaler talking to AD. Now you are talking directly to SML. Once you authenticate, this give you the SML acceleration token. You need to verify that token with the Zscaler. Once Zscaler verify you are the authorized to access that, Zscaler also issues one token to you and request for user HMAC ID. HMAC add some hardware value on that, and then insert the auth key, and you will redirect to the login page of Google, whatever page you are trying to access, right? So three component, let me recap what is required for SML. The three component called service provider, identity provider, and security assertion. So as a user, you directly talk to identity provider. Once you give your username and password, this will give you the assertion token, which you need to validate with the Zscaler. Once Zscaler validate, then it will give you the auth token, and once you take that auth token, you can use request user HMAC ID, and HMAC ID means it will add some hardware values on that. So then it will Zscaler give you the insert auth key in your values, your request. Once you authenticate, you will redirect to the internet website. There is a common error. If authentication fail, the client browser will display error, right? What error? SML configuration. What is the error? Those error. So error, I will tell you. Suppose you go here on that part, okay? So if you see here, error authentication failed in Zscaler, right? Now I will see all codes, right? It easily available. Suppose you are using the generic code, the code is always there, and you get the solution as well. What you need to do, right? Suppose you are using the Active Directory, right? So these are the all codes. Sometimes you will get it the 106 internal error. What is the solution for that? Delete user trying to log in, check if user is available in the list, right? So it's good, you can take that URL. Now guys, whatever I'm saying, so how you can configure it, I will tell you that part more detail in later, but for now just understand. If you go under the ZIA portal, under the authentication, under authentication you can see here dedicated authentication setting, right? So under setting you will see three options. Default is there, we are using hosted DB, right? And we are frequency is only once. If you want, you can type frequently, weekly, monthly, or custom, right? Identity provider, we are using Okta as our identity provider. If you can see here, we are using the Okta, right? I will tell you where you can see identity provider. You can onboard it from here. I will tell you how you can onboard. I will tell you how you can onboard the Azure Active Directory, okay? Intra-ID basically. So you need these details to onboard, right? I think my laptop got hung. Let me refresh that. Okay, so under authentication, identity provider, right? Let me check this is the Microsoft authentication, right? So I will tell you how you can get it these detail. Basically this is more part by your server team, but I will tell you how you can do that step by step. So next class, how to configure the SML step by step on your Zscaler, which is actually people are using mostly. So thank you guys, thanks for watching that video.